Well, it happened because we had an incentive plan in our retail banking group that drove inappropriate behavior. When issues began to occur within our retail banking business, we didn't move as quickly as we should. When they got escalated to the senior management team, again, we didn't move as quickly as we should. We've fundamentally changed the company in terms of how we're organized. We've centralized corporate enterprise risk functions. We ended that incentive plan. We changed management. So we've made many comprehensive moves to deal with that. But clearly, we made a mistake. We had to take responsibility, and we're now fixing anything that was broken.
All right. Of course, in that riveting interview with Maria Bartiromo, what the Wells Fargo CEO, Tim Sloan, was leaving out was how they unearthed all these other tens of thousands of accounts that were sort of sucked into this scandal of getting services they didn't want, didn't need, and had their credit records dinged as a result. We'll probably never know. What we know is they still got a PR crisis on their hands. To economist Jerry Bowyer saying he sees a pattern here. Equifax's CEO, the latest to say what we meant to say was, again, trying to put a spin on better than 140 million Americans' credit reports being leaked out there in cyberspace and the problems that can cause. You know what's weird about it, Jerry? In both cases, if you think about it, it's the problem is over until they have to clarify, oops, the problem maybe is not over. What do you think, first of all, on the whole Equifax thing? Because the difference here is no one is necessarily a customer of Equifax as much as they collect data on us, whether we like it or not. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, I think that's true. They affect us tremendously, but we're not the customer. So that's a problem. That's a PR problem for them. That's a political problem for them. But they've got problems of their own making that are, sort of despite, whatever business they happen to be in. And I'm glad that you played that clip about Wells Fargo because there's similar problems. In both cases, you have too much power with the CEO. You had with Wells Fargo a combined CEO chair. The board is supposed to be the boss of the CEO, and the shareholder is supposed to be the boss of the board.
Right.
Some companies reverse that order. The CEO basically runs the board, and the board basically, treats the shareholders like they don't really have any power. And in the case of Wells Fargo and also in the case of Equifax, you had that problem. So they've got a corporate culture problem that's not going to be solved with an editorial in USA Today that says, golly, that was really bad and we're embarrassed, but we'll try harder in the future. That's not enough, which is why, when you have a PR problem and your CEO puts an op-ed in the paper and you go down another 3%, that suggests that the problems are deeper than just surface.
But, you have to wonder whether they have a tin ear to this sort of thing. And I know it's human nature sometimes to just sort of gloss over what would seem to be obvious. And in all professions, I know it's common. But to then say, all right, we have this product for you Equifax customers who are concerned about this, but in order for you to get it and get it for free, you're essentially writing off on ever suing us or taking legal action against us. As if. But what do you make of that?
I make of that they've got a problematic business model, which is that they, by grading us on credit, they immediately make themselves a hated company with a hated business model, which means when they stumble, they're not going to get a lot of grace.
How suspect that look, right? I mean, I know you hate us, and I know you're mad at us for, leaking your records, but we have this great product that will make sure your records aren't leaked, and we're the same company that leaked your other stuff unintentionally. I mean, you got to be kidding. That's like me giving you dietary advice. You don't go there.
If you've got dietary advice, I'm all ears.
Really?
I need help
I'm not
too,
the guy to dispense it. That's what I'm saying.
I actually think Equifax needs some dietary advice, which is to stop trying to grow so quickly. Their model is, if they're a growth company, they try to portray themselves as a growth company. They had growth company valuations. They kept beating, earnings per share estimates, which is a sign that they're kind of goosing things a little bit. What's the growth model? More indebted Americans? We already have too many indebted Americans. So I think they should try to. My diet advice is get a little leaner and focus on your core business and do that well, rather than having these stratospheric growth targets, which mean you're going so fast that you can't even manage your own digital world when you're entirely a digital company. So your business proposition is based on operations, and you were neglecting your operations because you had grandiose growth ambitions. So they need a diet plan too.
Well put. Jerry, well, I've got you here, this tax battle back and forth. Are you in the camp that says go big or just drop it with tax cuts? Because it looks increasing, and it's hard to say. that given the overtures the president is trying to make with Democrats to try to strike a deal, a bipartisan deal, when I hear bipartisan, I think the good is that you get something passed, and I know the view something is better than nothing. The bad is it might not be that big a deal. In other words, the tax cuts might not be across the board. They might have to all be paid for up front. I think tax cuts are a little bit different. They should be big. So in the end, they might not be. And I'm worried that whether we're really going to see much from this. What do you think?
I'm in the Ronald Reagan camp, which says if we can make things better, let's not shoot for the moon. Let's get something doable that's genuinely good. Because when you shoot for the moon, when you're overly ambitious, it's funny, it's the same as the corporate story. When you're overly ambitious, we frequently end up with something we don't need. And if we defer tax cuts too long, we're going to get a zero growth or even recession. Because if I tell you you're going to get tax cuts next year, what do you do this year? You sit on your hands. And that means that we're going to have more corporate problems. Look, we can handle our level of debt if we grow. But if we don't grow, this debt is a crisis. So you're in that camp that sounds all right. It might not be as big as we envision, but it will be something, and that's better than nothing, right? I'm in the camp of if you can make things better and get half a loaf this year and come back and get another half in a year or two, I see. We need a half a loaf. We need growth because otherwise these valuations are unsustainable. The debt levels are unsustainable. I don't agree that we have to crash. We can grow our way into our valuations, but we have to have pro-growth policies. And perfect pro-growth policies 2 years from now are actually theoretical, are actually worse than pretty good pro-growth policies now.
No, not too shabby. Jerry Bowyer, great seeing you again. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.